Today we're going to be reviewing the Coda Lightning carbon fiber handguard and figure out if it is really worth the price. Welcome to Pork Tactical. I originally discovered Coda when I was shopping around for a handguard for my 300 blackout build. I was very specifically looking for something that was ultra lightweight, but also had maximum or really good heat insulation. And that's what kind of led me down the road of carbon fiber, and that led me to Coda. So this is my 14.5 inch 5.56 build that I did. And as you can see, I have selected Coda for this build as well. So needless to say, I liked it so much on the 300 blackout that I went ahead and used it on this as well. So I'm going to talk about now between this build and the 300 blackout, I've got about 5,000 rounds through the two of them. I feel like that's a pretty good amount of rounds to have an opinion about these handguards. So I'm going to talk about what I think. I will talk about the features of the handguard. I will talk about the installation process and what that was like. We'll talk about the price. I'll get into the list of cons that exist, or my opinion exists, for this handguard. And then I'll wrap it up with my overall feelings and whether I would recommend this handguard to somebody or not. The nature of carbon fiber is that it is super lightweight while also being extremely strong, and this handguard is no exception to that. This handguard is 12 inches in length and it weighs 6.3 ounces. So for comparison, to compare that to the Midwest Industries ultralight handguard, which is made out of aluminum and is a similar length, that one comes in at 7.9. So this is a full 1.6 ounces lighter than one of the lightest weight handguards that exist. Now, if we're comparing this to a standard aluminum handguard, it's not even close. This thing is 40 to 50% lighter than a standard aluminum handguard of a similar size. Now, of course, this isn't exactly apples to apples because, as you can see here, this handguard doesn't have anything built in. So there are no QD mounts, there are no pick rails at the top and at the back like on the Midwest Industries. So you have to add those yourself. And of course, when you add those, you are adding a little bit of weight. I say a little bit, these QD mounts are 0.5. A 5-slot pick rail is about 0.06 ounces. So, but everything does start to add up. Now, the good thing about this is that it just kind of gives you a blank slate and you can put things wherever you want. So if you preferred to have the QD mount back here, you could put the QD mount back there. On my Midwest Industries, they have a built-in QD mount that sits right about here on the back, but of course it's built in. So if you wanted to run it up here or wherever, you couldn't do that, and you can definitely do that with this. So there's always trade-offs to everything, and I would definitely say that would be a trade-off of this handguard, is that it doesn't come with anything, nothing built in. And of course, the more things that you add to it, the more weight you're going to add on. I really like the design and the shape of this. This is shaped in an octagon, and the circumference of it is 1.65 inches. So it is not a very wide and bulky handguard, and as a result, you can get a really nice grip on it. It feels really good in the hands, and not being circular also means that you can get a much more substantial grip and you can have much greater control over your weapon. The other great thing about the octagon shape is that it's flat down here. So unlike some other carbon fiber handguards that are circular in design, you are able to, because this is flat, you can put this on obstacles or benches or fences or rocks, whatever you want to rest it on, and it's not circular, it's flat, and so it's not going to slide off. The other thing, again, some of the other ones that I was comparing were circular, and I do have a circular one on one of my builds. My hand really slips off of it quite a bit, so I feel like this design prevents that being in the octagon shape, and so that's pretty nice. So I mentioned the being really lightweight and being really strong as properties of carbon fiber. This thing is incredibly strong. And in fact, this handguard is 10 times stronger than an aluminum handguard, and you can really feel it. The first time that I had this put together and I grabbed it, it's kind of hard to describe the way that it feels, but it is just extremely sturdy, much more so than my brain thought it would as I was picking it up because it was so lightweight. But it really does feel like very capable in your hand. And, I would say that is a really good thing. They have a proprietary locking system here at the trunnion, and the way that it works, it just really secures the handguard to the receiver. So there is zero wobble off of the receiver, and it feels really kind of hardy in your hand. Now, they do have a 60-day money-back guarantee, so I would really encourage you to try one of these if you want. Full disclosure, I paid for this with my own money, just like I pay for everything else. I have zero sponsorships. I have zero affiliation with Coda at all, other than the fact that I bought their products and I enjoy them. So again, 60-day money-back guarantee if you wanted to try it and see, kind of how it works out for you. I think, you don't really have much to lose there. The other property of carbon fiber that is amazing is the heat insulation. And that was another reason that I wanted to go carbon fiber, not only from a lightweight perspective, but also the way that it handles heat. So this has 40 times less heat transfer than aluminum does. So what this means is that you can basically shoot this weapon nonstop, and the handguard doesn't really get hot. Now, this is, I think, a pretty awesome feature, especially from a resilience perspective. So I like to structure my life in a way that maximizes resiliency in sort of all aspects of my life. And when I was thinking about a weapon, I didn't want something that required gloves. I didn't want something that required wraps or scales or anything like this. Do I wear gloves when I shoot? Yeah, most of the time. But I don't want to have to wear gloves. I don't want a weapon that gets so hot, after prolonged periods of shooting that it's uncomfortable to hold. I wanted something that didn't require that. I felt that, having that additional requirement of wraps or gloves or rail scales or something like this, I figured that was actually decreasing my resiliency. And so to me, that was an amazing quality. It also works really well in the cold too. So if you're like me, where you live somewhere where it's basically cold 7 months out of the year, it's really nice to be able to pick up something that doesn't freeze your hand. And so this works really well whether it's in hot conditions or cold conditions. So that's really nice as well. An additional bonus would be, if somebody has some sort of decreased sensitivity in their hands, this isn't going to present a problem for them. They're not going to have to worry about any kind of heat issues in the weapon. So, that's probably an edge case, but that's also a benefit as well. The installation of the handguard was really straightforward. It was actually very easy. They have a 5-minute video on their website that's very easy to follow. The TLDR is that you screw on the barrel nut and then slide the trunnion on top of the barrel nut. You then screw that into the barrel nut using some blue Loctite. Then you take the handguard and you slide the handguard on top of the trunnion, and there's 8 screws that connect to the handguard to the trunnion, and that's it. So as long as you have the proper the proper tools with the proper bits, and you're using blue Loctite, and you understand what the proper tension is, obviously they recommend using tension wrenches, or torque wrenches rather, that display what the torque is. That's all you got to do. Super simple. You don't need a gunsmith. You could do it yourself if you had the proper things in a pretty short amount of time. So The installation is very simple. I think I said it before, but this is free floating, and just the way that it's designed and the way that it locks on to the trunnion and the way that that sits on the receiver just really provides a sturdy handguard, no wobble, really, really nice. Obviously, with a material like carbon fiber that has these amazing properties of being super lightweight, super strong, and also amazing heat mitigation, it's going to come at a price. And so that would be really the only major con for this handguard would be the price. The 12-inch one came in at about $299. The 7-inch one that I have on my 300 Blackout came in at, I think, $279. So it's not cheap. However, if you compare this handguard to other ultralight aluminum handguards that are on the market, it's very equivalently priced. I forget how much the Midwest Industries ultralight aluminum handguard was, but it wasn't cheap. It was for sure mid twos, maybe even high twos, up into like the $300 range. So again, competitively priced. In my opinion, the properties of carbon fiber are better than the properties of aluminum. So, you get what you pay for. Other things to consider, I mentioned it earlier, but this handguard doesn't come with anything. So it doesn't come with any built-in QD mounts. It doesn't come with any built-in Picatinny rails, nothing, right? So you have to add that yourself. And of course, that's going to cost extra money. Maybe you have these parts laying around. That's cool. But if you don't, then you're going to have to buy them. So, that's going to add to the cost. So this might not be a problem if price is not a problem for you. But if price is a consideration, then you will also want to consider that depending on what your setup is, you will need to purchase additional things. Now, again, this has M-LOK slots at all 8 positions on the Octagon, so there's plenty of room to put on, whatever you want, wherever you want, which is another thing that's really nice about this handguard compared to some other ones is just the availability of the M-LOK slots. Some of them didn't have all, M-LOK at all positions. Some of them only had, a reduced amount. So this one really kind of fit the bill for that. Another con that's inherent to carbon fiber is it is slightly slippery. So I haven't necessarily had that as an issue, and I feel like the octagon shape helps to really mitigate the slipperiness that can come from carbon fiber, but it is still an issue. And in fact, I will very likely get some rail scales probably here, and then at the top here to make it less slippery. Like I said, I haven't had any problems, but I also haven't been in any high tension situations with this weapon. Let's just say I would rather, from the perspective of resiliency, mitigate as much as I can and set myself up for success rather than having a potential for failure. So just know that is or could be a potential issue. Now, certainly not as much for some of the circular designs. Those are extremely slippery. This one is nowhere even close to that. So I think the big question is, would I recommend this handguard? And the short answer is absolutely. I mean, I did buy 2 after all, and I would absolutely buy another one for another build that I was doing. I would definitely do that. I think that even though it does come at a slightly higher price point than some other handguards, it is well worth it for the features that you get. The weight of the handguard is unmatched. The heat mitigation, insulation, also unmatched. The rigidity of the handguard and the strength of it, unmatched compared to aluminum. And just I really love the design. I like the way it looks. I think it looks really cool. The installation was simple, and frankly, they were a really easy company to work with. I had a couple of questions. I sent them emails. They responded right away. They have the 60-day money-back guarantee, so you really don't have much to lose. If I were in the market for another handguard, I would absolutely consider buying another Coda. Hands down, they're great. Well, thank you very much for watching. I hope that this was informative, and I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe, and please share this so that I can grow the channel. Really appreciate it. Have a good one.